her mother, notwithstanding the extreme mildness of her character; but there was a fearlessness and frankness about her, which said that she would not encroach on another's liberty, but held her own sacred and unassailable. The countess cast no look of kindness on my worn-out frame, though afterwards she thanked me coldly for my attentions. Not so Idris. Her first glance was for her brother. She took his hand, she kissed his eyelids, and hung over him with looks of compassion and love. Her eyes glistened with tears when she thanked me, and the grace of her expression was enhanced, not diminished, by the fervour which caused her almost to falter as she spoke. Her mother, all eyes and ears, soon interrupted us, and I saw that she wished to dismiss us quietly, as one whose services, now that his relatives had arrived, were of no use to her son. I was harassed and ill, resolved not to give up my post, yet doubting in what way I should assert it, when Adrian called me, and clasping my hand, bade me not to leave him. His mother, apparently inattentive, at once understood what was meant, and seeing the hold we had upon her, yielded the point to us. The days that followed were full of pain to me, so that I sometimes regretted that I had not yielded at once to the haughty lady, who watched all my motions, and turned my beloved task of nursing my friend to a work of pain and irritation. Never did any woman appear so entirely made of mind as the Countess of Windsor. Her passions had subdued her appetites, even her natural wants. She slept little, and hardly ate at all. Her body was evidently considered by her as a mere machine, whose health was necessary for the accomplishment of her schemes, but whose senses formed no part of her enjoyment. There is something fearful in one who can thus conquer the animal part of our nature, if the victory be not the effect of consummate virtue; nor was it without a mixture of this feeling that I beheld the figure of the Countess awake when others slept, fasting when I, abstemious naturally, and rendered so by the fever that preyed on me, was forced to recruit myself with food. She resolved to prevent or diminish my opportunities of acquiring influence over her children, and circumvented my plans by a hard, quiet, stubborn resolution that seemed not to belong to flesh and blood. War was at last tacitly acknowledged between us. We had many pitched battles, during which no word was spoken, hardly a look was interchanged, but in which each resolved not to submit to the other. The Countess had the advantage of position, so I was vanquished, though I would not yield. After the lapse of a few weeks, we left Dunkeld. Idris and her mother returned immediately to Windsor, while Adrian and I followed by slow journeys and frequent stoppages, occasioned by his continued weakness. As we traversed the various counties of fertile England, all wore an exhilarating appearance to my companion, who had been so long secluded by disease from the enjoyments of weather and scenery. We passed through busy towns and cultivated plains. The husbandmen were getting in their plenteous harvests, and the women and children, occupied by light rustic toils, formed groups of happy, healthful persons, the very sight of whom carried cheerfulness to the heart. One evening, quitting our inn, we strolled down a shady lane, then up a grassy slope, till we came to an eminence that commanded an extensive view of hill and dale, meandering rivers, dark woods, and shining villages. The sun was setting, and the clouds, straying like new-shorn sheep through the vast fields of sky, received the golden colour of his parting beams. The distant uplands shone out, and the busy hum of evening came, harmonized by distance, on our ear. Adrian, who felt all the fresh spirit infused by returning health, clasped his hands in delight, and exclaimed with transport, "O happy earth, and happy inhabitants of earth! A stately palace has God built for you, O man, and worthy are you of your dwelling. Behold the verdant carpets spread at our feet, and the azure canopy above. the fields of earth which generate and nurture all things, and the track of heaven which contains and clasps all things, now at this evening hour, at the period of repose and refection, methinks all hearts breathe one hymn of love and thanksgiving, and we, like priests of old on the mountain tops, give a voice to their sentiment. Assuredly a most benignant power built up the majestic fabric we inhabit, and framed the laws by which it endures. If mere existence, and not happiness, had been the final end of our being, what need of the profuse luxuries which we enjoy? Why should our dwelling place be so lovely, and why should the instincts of nature minister pleasurable sensations? The very sustaining of our animal machine is made delightful, and our sustenance, the fruits of the field, is painted with transcendent hues, endued with grateful odours, and palatable to our taste. Why should this be, if he were not good? We need houses to protect us from the seasons, and behold the materials with which we are provided, the growth of trees with their adornment of leaves, while rocks of stone piled about the plains variegate the prospect with their pleasant irregularity. Nor are the outward objects alone the receptacles of the spirit of good. Look into the mind of men, where wisdom reigns enthroned, where imagination, the painter, sits, with his pencil dipped in hues lovelier than those of sunset, adorning familiar life with glowing tints. What a noble boon, worthy the giver, is the imagination! It takes from reality its leaden hue, it envelops all thought and sensation in a radiant veil, and with an hand of beauty beckons us from the sterile seas of life to her gardens, and bowers, and glades of bliss. And is not love a gift of the divinity? Love, and her child Hope, which can bestow wealth on poverty, strength on the weak, and happiness on the sorrowing. My lot has not been fortunate. I have consorted long with grief, entered the gloomy labyrinth of madness, and emerged but half alive. Yet I thank God that I have lived. I thank God that I beheld his throne, the heavens and earth, his footstool. I am glad that I have seen the changes of his day, to behold the sun, fountain of light, and the gentle pilgrim moon, to have seen the fire-bearing flowers of the sky, and the flowery stars of earth, to have witnessed the sowing and the harvest. I am glad that I have loved, and have experienced sympathetic joy and sorrow with my fellow creatures. I am glad now to feel the current of thought flow through my mind, as the blood through the articulations of my frame. Mere existence is pleasure, and I thank God that I live. And all ye happy nurslings of Mother Earth, do ye not echo my words? Ye who are linked by the affectionate ties of nature, companions, friends, lovers, fathers, who toil with joy for their offspring, women, who, while gazing on the living forms of their children, forget the pains of maternity, children who neither toil nor spin, but love and are loved. Oh, that death and sickness were banished from our earthly home! That hatred, tyranny, and fear could no longer make their lair in the human heart! That each man might find a brother in his fellow, and a nest of repose amid the wide plains of his inheritance! That the source of tears were dry, and that lips might no longer form expressions of sorrow! Sleeping thus under the beneficent eye of heaven, can evil visit thee, O earth? Or grief cradle to their graves their luckless children? Whisper it not. Let the demons hear and rejoice. The choice is with us. Let us will it, and our habitation becomes a paradise. For the will of man is omnipotent, blunting the arrows of death, soothing the bed of disease, and wiping away the tears of agony. And what is each human being worth, if he did not put forth his strength to aid his fellow creatures? My soul is a fading spark, my nature frail as a spent wave, but I dedicate all of intellect and strength that remains to me to that one work, and take upon me the task, as far as I am able, of bestowing blessings on my fellow men." His voice trembled, his eyes were cast up, his hands clasped, and his fragile person was bent, as it were, with excessive emotion. The spirit of life seemed to linger in his form, as a dying flame on an altar flickers on the embers of an accepted sacrifice. End of chapter 4a.